Hello, everyone. My main claim for tonight will be that the United States government spends an outrageous amount on its military defense budget. My 3 points that I'm going to be covering tonight is the United States budget grows as we police the world more, but this leads to more groups seeing the United States as a target. The military is wasteful in how it spends its funds, and it puts its soldiers and citizens in danger by choosing to do this. And that the military spends, or the United States spends 54% of its discretionary budget on the military, while education and infrastructure degrades in quality, showing that the U.S. values the military over its own education and infrastructure inside the country. So to cover my first claim will be that the United States budget grows as we police the world more. Since 9/11, our U.S. budget has grown from $287 billion for the military to $598.5 billion spent. And in 2002, a survey was done by the Pew Foundation of 44 different countries, and they found that the U.S. global image has been slipping. But after the Iraq War, they redid the survey to 20 different countries and also the Palestinian Authority, and found that the opinion of the United States has been plummeting worldwide. And this prompted Dr. Robert Pate of the University of Chicago to study the political science behind this. And he found that the central fact, as overwhelming as suicide terrorists, are not driven by religion as much as they are driven by a clear strategic objective to compel modern democracies to withdraw military forces from the territory that these terrorists consider that their homeland. Over 95% of all the incidences has a central objective to compel democratic nations to withdraw from these lands. Brown University has actually shown a statistic where since March of 2015, the United States military has killed 210,000 civilians in the Middle East alone. And by General Stanley McChrystal, he has said that we have shot an amazing number of people at checkpoints and killed a number, to my knowledge, none have proved to be a real threat to this force. So while we keep pumping in more and more money to fight this war on terror and to fight these people that we don't see eye to eye with and we don't fully understand, we are killing their civilians, and we are not having any overwhelming group calling out the military for this and lessening their budget and giving them less power to do any of this while we go into sovereign nations and kill their people. So my second claim is that the United States military is wasteful on how it spends a large amount of its budget and makes choices that put its citizen and military personnel in danger. When we were pulling out of Iraq, officially we finally pulled out in about 2010, 2,300 Humvees, 40 Abrams tanks, 52 howitzer mobile gun systems, and 74,000 machine guns, all totaling to about $656.4 million of their budget was actually left in a base, unprotected and just completely unguarded when the United States pulled out. And it just sat there. ISIS ended up taking over this base along with all the amenities and all these weapons, and are now using them to fight US soldiers. This is just negligence on the United States military part for thinking that these weapons are perfectly fine, but they have gone on record with the Washington Post saying that we did not think that they were necessary to bring back, and we did not see the worth in bringing them back home. And now they are being used to kill our own soldiers overseas. Also, the Washington Post has found where we bought a gas station in Afghanistan for $43 million when the official estimate was only $500,000. We extremely overpaid on this, and the Inspector General John Saparco of the Department of Defense claims that he is unable to provide an explanation on why this happened or any outcomes that have become of it, and the Department of Defense will not answer any more questions on why this has happened. Also, the New York Times has found another instance where we spend $640 million on a national security cutter, which is a ship for the Coast Guard of Mississippi. And Mississippi Coast Guard General has gone on record to the New York Times and has said that they did not even want this ship. Their plans were only for 8 cutters, and by the forcing of building a $640 million new one, it is disrupting their plans, and that this cutter will only sit in storage and not even be used in any military personnel or any even defense or actions whatsoever. For my third claim is that the United States values its military over the education and infrastructure of its people. The American Society of Civil Engineers has ranked the infrastructure of the United States as a D+. And this interview of the Secretary of Transportation done by CBS has found that 70,000 bridges are now considered dangerous to drive on and are falling apart where they're standing. These bridges are still open to the public to drive on and still are being used and not maintained because they do not have the budget to do this, while we're spending 54% of our discretionary budget to the military. Our education has also been slipping, where we are now no longer where we were 5th in the world only 10 years ago. Now we've dropped to 17th in the world in education by the Economist Intelligence Unit. So to me, it's why is it that a country that prides itself on being the world standard for education and for lifestyle, do we fund a neglectful military that does not have a sense of purpose and does not even think of pulling weapons away that could kill our own troops? Thank you.
I gave you my wrong outline. Can I give you the proper one? We traded out the proper one. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
I ended up giving you like the wrong outline. I have. Yeah. Can I get the other one?
Sure, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the time on that? I got 5:42?
He was 16 seconds short of.
5:42, okay. That's fine, that's good.
Sorry.
No, that's not your fault. No. That's not your issue. I generally don't ask. I got distracted because
No, he was 16
something came up.
seconds short.
No, that's... All right, Donovan, the term outrageous is more of a value claim. You want to lose that from the proposition that I think is problematic. The contents are pretty clearly laid out. I do think you explained that there's a controversy there. I think there's good signposting of the secondary points, although your first point doesn't really sound like what the information supporting it deals with. The other arguments, I think, the second argument I think is explained pretty well. The third argument is a priority argument, and there are a whole bunch of presuppositions that would be required in order to connect it to military spending. Plus, I think there needs to be a documentation that the decrease in educational quality is related to a lack of educational funding. That's a presupposition on your part. Good examples on the spending issues. Statistical information is okay. Some of your expert testimony is being paraphrased a little bit, and I think you want to be more clear and make sure that you're quoting people more directly. But citations of the sources are pretty consistent. Delivery is fine. Thank you. We're moving on.